Yeah, after doing examples in loop, we've gone up to loop 9. So we've covered different examples in loop and in while. Now, so what I'd like to cover in this section is the range function. It's called range. I do not want to mix it to the other examples because this is a bit yeah, so what to call the range function. But we'll try and cover it. Yeah, so here is where the while loop and the for loop has different functions. So while loops while loops are used for counting specific number of iterations, right? Like how many times, right? So this for loops used iterate over all elements. Hope with our examples and our learning so far, we have understood that for loops is used to iterate over all the elements. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. So now let's talk about the range function. So basically here we've distinguished between while and for loop. Both are loops. So the range function allows for loops. So in for loops, if we want to do the counting of specific numbers, right? It means in range function we use a range function in for loops for counting, right? So range, right? This is how the range function is written. So range, what it does is it generates sequence of integers between starting and so basically between starting integer included, starting int included in the range, and integer not included in the range, and integer step value. But we'll see this in a real example. So basically what a range does is it generates a sequence, right, between the starting integer included in the range. So you'll have a range of 5 and 7, right? So it generates from the first int to the last int in the range and the integer step value. We'll see all this in a bit. So basically how would we generate a range? From the first one, we keep incrementing by the step value. So this step value is what is used to increment. So step value is used to increment from the first int to the last int. How that makes sense? We'll see that in a bit. So here is an example of how range works. For example, if we say range, then we have y. So this will generate a sequence of all positive values. Less positive values less than 1. Range 4, an example. Range 4. So this will generate a sequence of all positive values less than y. So it will be 0, 1, 2, 3. Right? If we had 3, it is this will generate 0, 1, 2. We have said range generates less than that y. This being, so it will, that's an example. Another example is a range x, y. So this will what this will generate. I hope we see how we go to this in our example. So it's generate sequence of integers. So I'll use int for integers. For integers greater or equals to x, greater or equals to x, and less than y. Yeah, how that makes sense? Example, range I'll do -7 to -3. What will this generate? This will generate, we've said it will generate all greater or equals to x. So it will be -7, -6, -5, and -4. So how to say this? It will generate all sequence greater, of integers less than or equals to x, right? Equals to x makes us start with -7 for our list, so it will result -7 up to the numbers greater to y. So y being 3, being -3, it means it will become just up to -4. I hope that makes sense, and we can range over, we can do range of 3 to 7. What will it give? So as we have said, it will start with greater or equals to. So we'll start with 3, 4, 5, 6, less than y being 7, less than a 6. I hope that makes sense with that example. Another example is range range of x, y, and z. What does this mean? This has a stepping value. We'll talk about step value. So this will where z is positive. So where z is positive, these are positive. All integers greater or equals to, or just greater or equals to x, and less than y incrementing by y, z. Sorry, we did say z is a step value, so we increment by z as long as z being a positive value. Let's do range of 0 from 0 to 50, incrementing it by 10. What will this give? So we will just say starting from 0, so it will be 0. Then you increment by 10, so it will be 10, 20, 30, 40. It won't add. You won't add 50 because it will be less than y. Yeah. So that's it. And then we also have, what if we've said here, let me use a star, if z is positive, out of the same thing, this, if z is negative, I'll just do the same thing, but it's negative. What will that do? I'll do, let's do an example of range. 3 and -1. Yes, -1. We said we are, so basically we are incrementing by -1, so it will be 3, right? Becomes 3, becomes 2, becomes 1, becomes 0. It can't go to -1 because it should be greater than y, and y is -1, so it just gets to 0. So we keep. Okay, I hope that makes sense. We've covered the range, how it works. Actually, I wanted to cover this term with these examples and how they work. Now we can do an example of range. Let's do an example of range using 4. So here's an example. Right, so we'll say for I in range, then you enter a value here, 5. What you have to do, you have to print iterates numbers, iterate number, comma here, then you pass the I. This should be indented for it to run. So let's have this in our, I'll call it range. Let's start from range 1. Range.py. So we run this. Oops, Python. Right. So as we said in our examples prior, it will print from 0 to the number just before it. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why we have this. That's one. Okay, I can have all the examples, yeah. So I'll just say this is example one. Then I'll keep commenting them. So I'll comment this and I'll say example two, right? That's control and hash. So for I in range, so we're going to say 1 and 4. What do we do? We say basically you can have a nested for loop. This is a nested for loop for j in range 1 4. Just the same way we had other nest if statement in for loop as well. You can have nested for loop. So what happens is we have the first for loop here, right? So for a range of 1 to 4, right? So it's going to start from 1 to 3. It won't print 4, just as we had here, as we've shown in our example in our notes, that it prints the number just less than this. So it will have 1, right? Then for the first time it will come to 1, right? Then it will execute the next nested 4. So it will check 1. It's 1 as well, right? Then the loop continues. So it will go to, for this one, so it will be 1 and 1, right? For I and j, right? Then it will go for the next time. Since it's this loop has to be printed, like it's a loop, it's a for loop inside a for loop, right? So it will have to go through all the samples, all the range from 1 to 3 here and 1 to 3 here. So it will have 1 to 3 sample for that, and then it will have 1 to 3 for this. I hope that makes sense, right? In that 1 it will take 1, 2 and 3, and then it will come back for 1, 2 and 3 again in this nested loop, right? As I explained the other loops, nested loops we had. So basically, same thing with this. We have an outer loop, just right there. This one is our inner loop, right? So it will have, for the outer loop, it will have I is equals to 1, I is equals to 2, and I is equals to 3. So it will have, then for the inner loop, it will have for j in range 1 to 4, right? So when I is 1, right, the inner loop will run j 1, 2 and 3. Makes sense? This one. When I is 1, right? The first one here, it starts with 1. This one will run its 1, 2 and 3. Then it will run for 2. It will show 1, 2 and 3 for this range as well. Then it will come for 3 for the last one for the outer loop. So 1 for the outer loop runs 3 times. For the next one runs 3. For that one runs 3. I hope it makes sense. I hope you've understood that. I can be able to do more examples if need be. Yeah, and I hope that should cover most of our example in loops. I hope I have been able to cover the challenges you might have faced while going through loops, and we've done for and while, and the last thing we were able to cover on for loop was the ranges, and I hope everything is in order. And in our next discussion we are going to cover, we're basically going to go through while versus for, like how they complement each other, how they work against each other, which one would be best to choose in what scenario. Basically that will be it. Then we'll now dive into for nested loops, as what we've just done here. So we'll cover more of that. So stay tuned. We're going to tackle more of Python, and our main aim is to ensure that everyone of us gets to master and learn Python. See you in the next one, guys. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. Thank you for your time. Happy coding.